The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Hands-on Banking, Helping Students Afford College Through Sound Money Management. I'm your host today. My name is Amy Bolick, and I am FCAN's Community Engagement and Programs Manager. And I am happy to say that we are joined today by Mariana Ordaz. Mariana is the Community Support Representative for Florida from Wells Fargo. And she is responsible for managing resource coordination and support of community relations programs and processes throughout the state. She has 10 years of experience working for nonprofit organizations and community relations. She previously served as a program director for the Junior Achievement of Central Florida and as the community relations coordinator at Walt Disney World. She's also consulted on community support projects in Mexico, Costa Rica, China, and Australia. Mariana was born in Venezuela and she was raised in the United States, and she is an active member of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in the Metro Orlando area, and she's a volunteer guardian ad litem. She's passionate about both education and supporting children in the foster care system. She has her MBA from Rollins College and a BA in Hospitality Management from the University of Central Florida. She also has a certificate in Nonprofit Management from UCF. So we're very excited to have Mariana today. And joining Mariana is Phil Smith, who is the Regional Recruitment Manager for the South Region from City Year Orlando. And Phil's going to be sharing a little bit of his personal experience using the tools that we're talking about today with students as a mentor in the classroom. And whenever City Year comes up, I just have to give a shout out. My wife did a year with City Year in Philadelphia, and it's a wonderful organization. So I'm excited to have Phil on today. All right, so a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. On the right of your screen, you have the question box where you can submit your questions. So if at any point during the webinar you think to yourself, ooh, I would really like to learn more about that, just go ahead and type it in the webinar. We'll have the questions coming in as it goes on, and at the end we'll take some time and Mariana or Phil or myself can answer your questions. We'll also encourage you to share on social media about what you're learning. You can tweet at us at FL College Access, use the hashtags FCAN and hashtag hands-on-banking. And this webinar is also being recorded, and all materials will be available within a week of the recording, including the slides. If you're really ready to go and just need to get those slides right away, they're also available in the handout section as a PDF. All right, for those of you who may not be familiar with our organization, Florida College Access Network is a statewide network that exists to create and strengthen communities to improve college and career readiness, access, and completion for all students across the state of Florida. And our vision is that at least 60% of working age Floridians will have a high quality post-secondary degree or credential by the year 2025. And the reason we have that goal is that labor economists predict that that's how many jobs will require that kind of credential or training by the year 2025. And we're including in that bachelor's degrees, associate's degrees, technical certificates, any kind of training beyond high school that prepares students for a good job. We accomplish our work in three main ways. The first is through local college access networks. These are place-based strategic initiatives that bring together community partners in different areas. So it might be the Education Foundation, the Community Foundation, the school district, the local colleges and universities, employers, all nonprofits, all those kind of organizations coming together and coordinating their efforts around the same goals to move education attainment forward. And as you can see from this map, we have local college access networks representing students in about 80% of the state. And if you see your community on there without a local college access network and go, hey, why don't we have one of those? Well, we want you to have one too. So reach out to us and we can see about starting the conversations to maybe get that started in your area. We also do research, data, and policy work. So we support our LCANs and our schools and communities with student-centered research and policy analysis. We serve as a clearinghouse for college and career readiness, access, and completion data. And based on this data, we develop local, state, and national partnerships and policy alignment around the issue of degree attainment. And finally, we have our statewide initiatives. And right now, our statewide initiatives are all focused on seniors who are in the process of transitioning out of high school and into that first year of college. And so that includes Apply Yourself Florida, which is a college application completion event, the Florida Fafsa Challenge, which just wrapped up last week, and we'll be announcing the winners for that soon. And the Florida Fafsa Challenge encourages students to complete the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. And then we have Florida College Decision Day, which celebrates students' post-secondary plans. And the purpose of today's webinar and sharing information about financial literacy and good money management skills with students really ties into the mission of these initiatives and our organization in general, which is that we want to make sure that our students are not just prepared for college or not just prepared for a career, but that they're prepared for life. We want our students to have life readiness and plans for what their life is going to look like after high school. And in many cases, that means having a good education, it means having a good job, but it also means having good skills like money management so that they can be responsible and have that financial freedom. And that's why we're excited to have Mariana today with Wells Fargo to share the hands-on banking tool that you can use to help facilitate these conversations with your students. So I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Mariana so that she can start sharing about that tool.
Thanks, Amy. I want to setting up the screen share. You let me know once you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. We love to support the work of the Florida College Access Network, and to those of you that are on the line, thank you for being the ones out there getting education where it needs to be and meeting students where they're at. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to introduce to you an exciting program that should interest you for three main reasons. Number one, because it's fun. Number two, because it's free. And number three, it's educationally sound. It's been developed by teachers in collaboration with the Wells Fargo Foundation, and it uses an education standards base that can be integrated into a variety of different classroom lessons. Now, in these times, all of us really need to have a good understanding and a sound basis for how to manage our money and reach our financial goals. And one of Wells Fargo's most important values as a company is to support the financial self-sufficiency and success of the people who live and work in the communities we serve. We really believe that financial education holds the key. That's why we developed hands-on banking as a free public service that's completely non-commercial, so there are no product sales or pitches. All of the hands-on banking content and the information is a result of the collaboration by more than 100 teachers who helped to write and test the program. In fact, we really internally share that this program is developed by teachers for teachers. We are committed to education and have made this program free and available to everyone in the community. There is no sign-in or a password requirement. There's no personally identifying information ever collected. Now let's go over some of the key features of hands-on banking. First, we knew the program needed to be free. So it's available to anyone who wants to use it at no cost. This can be in a school, in a community group, at a workplace, or just at home with a family. The next piece was that we knew the program needed to be accessible. So we made the hands-on banking available in different formats. You can access it on the internet, or you can print instructor guides and do it with pencil and paper, like the good old days. The online version is suitable on a PC, on a laptop, a mobile device, a smartphone, a tablet. There's a flash version and a traditional version. I'll show you both in just a minute. And it's also available in English and Spanish. We wanted to make sure that the program remained non-commercial. Everything here is just for educational purposes, and we don't mean that it's product promotion that's in disguise. You'll find that the Wells Fargo logo only appears one time right at the beginning of the program, and it's simply used to identify us as the developer so that you know that the information is coming from a trusted developed source. The next piece is that it had to be flexible. Different learners, different learning situations. You all probably know that more than I do. So we created a flexible curriculum that you can use in a group setting or for self-paced learners who are at home. You can use it in a step-by-step approach, or you can skip forward and backwards to answer particular questions that you may be seeking additional knowledge on. We also knew that if we were targeting school-age children anywhere in 4th to 12th grade, that it was important that all of this be classroom ready. We know that there's precious little time in the school day, and we wanted to create a program that a teacher could easily integrate into existing lesson plans and that was already based on standards. For these reasons, the program is going to meet or exceed state and federal guidelines within math, language arts, social science, and economics. And to coincide with that, we've developed some comprehensive teacher guides that include assessments. There are some pre-test, post-test, and sample guides that you can use along with the material. And last but not least, we realized hands-on banking had to be entertaining and engaging in order to be successful. So we've decided to find a way to make personal finance fun, and you'll find that the hands-on banking lessons are colorful, animated, and they're easy to understand. The curriculum covers 4 different age groups: adults, young adults, teens, and kids. For the purposes of the call today, we're going to focus on young adults. But if you want to explore the program on your own, the other sections are laid out in a very similar fashion and will be easy to follow. So in the young adult section, this is covering ages 15 to 21, and it's focused on those who are getting started with money management. Maybe they're learning about employment and money. They're creating a strategy for making the most of the money they have. They're learning how to save. They're learning how saving can provide great benefits, understanding the basics of credit, or the specific purpose of the call is investigating the rewards of continuing their education beyond high school, and that budgeting beyond high school is really key to part of their success. For the teachers on this call, I mentioned that this was really easy to integrate in the classroom. It's based on the economics education standards. Those come from a consortium of 3 organizations: the National Council of Economic Education, the National Association of Economics Educators, and the Foundation for Teaching Economics. We also align with the Florida Literacy Standards as produced by the Jumpstart Coalition for Personal Financial Literacy and the Council of Economic Education. And the mathematics pieces are based on principles and standards from National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. And the English language components alignments are based on standards from the National Coalition of Teachers of English and the International Reading Association. So what I want to do now is take you live on the computer to the actual website. I'll show you a demonstration based on that. So what you're looking at here is the opening page for the program. I'm at handsonbanking.org. And if we scroll down past this photo, you'll see the very first item are some featured topics in articles. We'll touch on that a bit more in a second. The next piece is going to be 7 content areas. So in addition to the 4 age groups that I mentioned previously, it's also divided for seniors, military, and entrepreneurs to have information. One of the key features on this is an easy to access Spanish button. So up here at the top right, this ES stands for Español. If you were to scroll up, it changes the word to Spanish. At any time that you're on the hands-on banking site, you could click here and you'll see all of the same content. It's laid out exactly the same way, except the language is different. So you could even have 2 people that spoke different languages learning side by side in a way that the material resonates more easily. We'll toggle back to English here. Let's explore here on the young adult section. I'm going to go ahead and click there. This is going to be the piece that anyone can access from home. As an educator, you are going to want to click on the Are You an Educator button that's at the top right. By an educator, we really mean anyone who's going to teach this program. So it could be the classroom teacher, but it could also be a parent volunteer or an after-school program leader. And in this educator page, you're going to find courses and lesson plans. If you scroll down, the categories are going to be right across the middle of the screen. So you'll want to click on Young Adults, and you'll find that there are instructor guides in PDF format on the left side. The very last one is School and Money. This is the one that's going to relate, to paying for college. So the center and the right are each of the individual lessons. These can be used in order or out of order based on what you wanted to teach. Again, the bottom here is going to be School and Money, where there are 6 key lesson categories there. I'm going to go right back up. One second. Inside of the School and Money PDF is where you will find the instructional guides with pre and post test. Now, let's say you're going to be speaking to a group that's in Spanish. Well, if you click up here, switch it back to Spanish, all of these links are going to change, and you'll find that we also offer Spanish language young adult instructor guides. We have the same thing for every age. So both the instructor and the students will have all of the curriculum in the language that is most suitable to them. I'm going to go back now to the main screen so that you'll see it from the perspective of a student. So back to hands-on banking, and we're going to click on Young Adults. And we're going to click on Getting Started. What we see here is the main version of the program. This is how the program will appear if you were on a mobile device or some tablet. We'll click on Next so you can see an example of one of the sections, and then I'm going to go ahead and show it to you in the Flash version. Make sure my speakers are off so we don't have competing noise there. This version is going to be a little more colorful. It's more animated. You'll have people speaking, but the actual content is exactly the same, and the photos sort of coincide, so you'll see that. In this age group, there's going to be 6 areas. They're getting started, earning money, spending smart, save, invest, and build wealth, all about credit, and school and money. The user can roll over the lesson plans or the course index to the right to see what exactly they want to, if they would like to pinpoint moving forward and backward. They can also just use the forward and back buttons if they wanted to go through the course in order. For most young people, this is an era of financial first. It's going to be a first car, a first bank account, a first credit card, a first job, first time living on their own. So all of the lessons in the young adult curriculum address these areas, plus things like how to afford an education after high school, how to manage student loans, how to read a paycheck, and use credit responsibly. The program was designed to be highly customizable for educators, and the navigation features are going to allow the teachers and the students to both access the content in a linear or nonlinear fashion. So what I want to show you here is an example of how it's interactive. So we're going to go straight to the school and money topic and click on that. From here, I want to show you a budgeting worksheet. So in here, it's showing sources of funds and where a student could get money from. As the student, they're speaking on the screen here, you can't see when they go back and forth. They'll have a live conversation, and these characters follow them throughout the course. As they complete it, they can toggle forward through each piece and click around. One of my favorites is this budget piece. So in this budget, the first source would be a job or work study. So it's talking about a monthly income. A student could type right into the field if they had a monthly income, and it's going to auto-populate what their expenses are and their budget. So let's say they had a monthly income of $1,000. Let's say they had $250 in monthly scholarships. Of course, they'd have to divide. So that would be $1,000 per semester divided by a 4-month semester. How I got that $250. And then we'll say that their tuition in Florida for one semester is going to be somewhere in the $2,800 range. Hopefully I'm right. You all know probably much better than I do. And so they're going to see that if they just have this job and that one scholarship, they're short about $1,500. So they're going to have the opportunity here to toggle around with what their expenses are and what their income is and what sources they need to investigate. This is a really good way to identify, is a loan really necessary, or are there ways I can avoid going into debt in order to finance my education? Once the student populates all these numbers, they can print right from this sheet, and it will come out with a personalized printout for them. There is no live save feature. However, if they're on the same computer and no one else is using that computer, it will save it using the browser cookies on most web browsers. So if a student were to leave the page and say they're on their personal computer, when they came back to it, the information would remain populated there. But because we don't have a sign-in process and we don't collect any of the personal information, this data isn't stored anywhere other than maybe a personal laptop. I'm going to next show you a library feature. The library is accessible from anywhere in the course. It's up here on the bottom left. The library is a unique resource because it contains more than 100 articles with in-depth information on any specific topic. It can talk about reading a credit report, managing credit card charges, different ways to pay for college, how to plan for a new car, or getting ready for a first job interview. You can toggle by letter of the alphabet at the top or check it out on the bottom. So for example, if we were to click on about credit scores, it's going to pull up an article. The articles are in PDF format. I've seen teachers use these sometimes as homework assignments, go and read about this and, do some additional exploring. These same articles are also available in Spanish when you toggle. Everything is both languages. Another way to find these articles is from the home screen. So to toggle back to that, rather than looking at the Flash version, up at the top right, we'll click on View Mobile Version. And those resources are going to be down here at the bottom. There are tools here that will show you additional types of calculators. So there is a basic calculator, but there are also some investment calculators, loans, mortgage calculators, and retirement savings calculators. There's also a glossary at the bottom. Well, the calculator is really long screen, so let me get all the way down. This glossary remains at the bottom, so anytime there might be an acronym or a term that a student is unfamiliar with, they could click to the glossary and get a detailed explanation of what that term means and how it relates to finances. I'm going to toggle back to the PowerPoint. I'll leave this screen handy in case you have questions when we get to the Q&A piece. And I'm going to fast forward a little because I showed you all of these already. Some of these are what the other ages look like. So if you had a younger audience, you could use the teen program. They have different characters that are more age appropriate to present similar financial education. I'm not going to go into those in detail on this call. So I hope you've really gotten a sense that the navigation here is simple and it's easily understood. I hope you've gotten a sense that the program is designed to be very easy and flexible to use. We turn user-friendly. You've gotten a real feel that the English-Spanish button is available. And you can turn sound on or off. The content links have all of the navigation tools available so you can move between units and lessons. And that you've seen that there's several calculators that you can use with your students, but also for yourself. I access this site on a pretty frequent basis whenever I'm going to make a financial decision, just so I can make sure that I have my bases covered. As a reminder, hands-on banking is free, fun, interactive, and very importantly, non-commercial. It's available online or through printed instructor guides if you don't have computer access in the classroom. It's based on education standards, and it has information that's important for all of us. Yes, it's information important for students attending college. It's much bigger than that. So we hope that you have an opportunity to go online and enjoy this program. We also offer team members as volunteers to deliver lessons whenever that's available. So currently at Wells Fargo, we are in the middle of our Teach Children and Others to Safe campaign. This is run by the American Bankers Association as part of a Teach Children to Save Day that happens in the month of April. But Wells Fargo, we've extended out throughout the month. We have another month in October where we do the same thing, but we are talking Get Smart About Credit. So throughout the year, we have team members available as volunteers, but at those two specific periods of the year, you'll tend to see us out in schools a lot more often. If you're ever interested in having one of us come out to volunteer, you can get in touch with me and I can connect you to the correct person, depending on where you are in Florida, so that the volunteer can come to your class. The volunteer will deliver the same lessons that you see available online, sometimes with some expanded resources, but generally that's what they're going to be presenting. Now, I've invited Phil to come on the phone from City Year for two reasons. One is because, like Amy at Wells Fargo, we love City Year, and City Year is a great partner for us within the schools and a great partner to the teachers at the school. Because Phil has served as a City Year Corps member for 2 years and is now a City Year employee with recruiting, he's seen sort of a broad mix of how teachers can use this in their classrooms, also how Wells Fargo can come out to volunteer, whether it's in a classroom with students or after school at a parent night. He hasn't seen a church group, but sometimes we'll go out to youth groups to deliver the programming, summer camps, all sorts of locations. We go to retirement communities, which wouldn't work for the college program in most cases, but depending on what the audience needed, that's what we can deliver. So at this point, I will go ahead and hand it over to Phil so that he can share a little bit about what his experience has been with the program.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. Yes, it's definitely a great program, and I feel that students definitely benefit from it. I personally served in a high school for 2 years, so I used it in a few different ways. Primarily, I used it with my ninth graders as kind of a after-school kind of club, a little closer to the end of the year, once a lot of those major tests were done, just giving them that basis for just financial literacy. So just going through some of those activities would be about a 30-minute group conversation. That's one of the ways that we would use it. And then on a more one-to-one level with some of our seniors that were graduating, we would go through the worksheet that was provided so that they could see kind of the breakdown of their tuition and what they needed to get ready so that they can have their books paid for, or they could make sure that they were having a little bit left over so that they weren't necessarily struggling. So they could see that physical breakdown and seeing how their money is here and then now it's suddenly gone. And that breakdown was very important for our seniors as we do tend to work in those areas where people do have those systemic issues with debt. So we wanted to make sure that our students were prepared for the environment once they were to leave. So those are the primary ways that I use this program and how it kind of helped the students. From my experience, it seemed to be something that the students were very curious about, but just afraid to initiate. A lot of people view finances, particularly at that young age, as a very elusive thing. So this definitely helped add a lot of context for them, and they were able to get some of those initial questions out there and definitely start that conversation.
Thanks, Phil.
All right. Well, thank you, Mariana and Phil. We have a couple of questions coming in. Continue sending those for the next couple of minutes while I wrap up the last couple of housekeeping items here, and then we'll go to your questions. Make sure to save the date for our 2018 Florida College Access Network Summit on May 10th through 11th at the Hyatt Regency Orlando. Registration is open at fcansummit.org. And if you're interested in the topic of financial literacy, you'll definitely won't want to miss the presentation that Holly Bullard from United Way Suncoast and Deborah Chapman from Career Edge and from our LCAN in Sarasota County Talent for Tomorrow are giving on an innovative Career Quest program that they're doing, where they are matching student savings accounts for internships that they set up students with. So that's going to be a great session, and there will also be a couple of other sessions that handle the issue of college affordability. So, and hold on just a second here. It looks like okay. And then we also have some webinars coming up in the next couple of months. So in the month of April, later on this month, we're going to have Hillsborough Community College talking about their College Bound initiative. And then we're also in June going to have Amarillo College presenting about their No Excuses Poverty initiative. And I just also want to take a moment and say, before I forget, that for our upcoming summit, we are so thankful to have Wells Fargo as our presenting sponsor, and they're doing great work in helping make the summit a possibility. So we extend our thanks to Wells Fargo for that. Okay, so Mariana, we have a couple of questions coming in. And again, if you still have more questions, make sure to send those over. Our first question is from Pauline Simmons-Brown, who's with our LCAN in Polk County. And she wants to know how long is the time frame to be delivered for going over these financial literacy lessons with students, 1 to 2 sessions. What do you find is a successful time frame for delivering these sessions?
That's a great question. So it really is going to depend on the audience that you have and how in-depth they get with the planning. So I would say that if you were working with a group of students that potentially they have a couple of college offers and they are looking at the real details of where they're going to be headed, each lesson is probably going to take you a little bit longer, but generally one lesson could last anywhere between 20 and 45 minutes. So it just depends on how far the students take that conversation. And then each topic can have up to 6 mini lessons in it. So the timing is going to vary. If you have somebody from Wells Fargo that you're asking to come in and present the lesson, we can certainly work with you to cover what you need in the time frame that you need. But there's a lot of flexibility around the time that it would take.
That's great. And Mariana, I believe you addressed this question, but just to clarify, you talked about the times a year that it's great to have Wells Fargo employees come out and present. Is there a time of day that's better? Do they typically prefer to come out during the working day or after school?
There is no better time. We're available both during the day and after school. So when you think about Wells Fargo, most of us think about the community bank, which is the branches that you walk in and out of. But we also have several additional lines of business. So what may be a really busy time for a team member that works in the branch, it might be a time they can't step away from the branch. It might be somebody who comes from our mortgage team or someone who's a business banker. So depending on what time you need us, then we'll find someone from a line of business that can accommodate as best we can.
That's excellent. So make sure that that is a resource that you guys are taking advantage of, is these experts in financial issues that they can come in and speak to your students. And Pauline also just wants to emphasize that this could definitely be used as a tool for a family financial aid night to engage parents and students in the same session. And that's really great. I know that a lot of our schools that do the FAFSA challenge, they have financial aid nights for their parents and their students, and bringing in someone from Wells Fargo to go over financial issues both from the parent's perspective and the student perspective could be a really great way to get the whole family together and talking about the same issues and helping them learn. So Mariana, I want to thank you again for talking about all of these tools and the resources that Wells Fargo has available to our communities.
Thank you for having us. I don't know if they'll get my email address from you, or if I can put it up on the screen briefly in case.
Sure. Let me give you control real quick, and you can put that up. But then I'll also make sure that in the email that we send out, that your email address is available.
Okay. Right here. my super not fancy way to show you my email address, but if you're anywhere in the state of Florida and you send me an email, we can get you connected, and it can be at any time of the year.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Thank you, everyone. The recording, like I said, will be available within a week, and the slides are available now, and we look forward to seeing you on one of our next webinars.